Okay, I think I'll give it another 30 seconds and then we'll begin. So,
Can we start now?
Yep. Did you want to begin recording the session?
Yep. So, hi everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our session today. My name is Simran, and I'm really excited for all of you to be joining us today for the webinar. Today's topic will be focused on Seagate's enterprise data storage systems, and we'll cover it from many angles, including the key systems sold within the Australian market, comprising of a local case study, cloud solution providers, and how to configure the Seagate storage on our DiGiCOR website. So I'm really excited to be joined by our senior speakers who will be leading the conversation today. I have Dez Nguyen, Lead Systems Engineer at DiGiCOR, Michael Batty, Business Development Manager in the Enterprise Data Storage at Seagate Technology, Danny Lim, Head of Business Development Video Surveillance Segment at Seagate Technology, and Casey Tan, Senior Engineering Manager at Seagate Technology. So thank you everyone, welcome to the session. Just before we get into the conversation, I want to do a bit of housekeeping. So while we highly encourage everyone to get involved and ask as many questions as possible, I want to kindly request everyone to please mute themselves throughout the session. And if you have any questions, you can send them in the chat section below. And we'll, of course, have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, where you can unmute yourself or again pop your questions in the chat section. And the person with the best question will receive a 500 GB ultra. So additionally, if you have any technical difficulties, you can always email our marketing team at DiGiCOR. And we also want to let you know that the session is being recorded and will be available to everyone after the session, so you can come back and view it again. If you could please provide us with feedback in our survey that we'll be emailing to you shortly after the session. And those who do will go into a lucky draw to win a 500 GB ultra-large portable SSD. So, but enough from me. Let's get into the session. So thank you, Michael, for being here today. Let's get your introduction and insight on Seagate technology.
Excellent. So I'll run through a bit of our agenda just to begin. So our first speaker, Danny Lim. He's based in Singapore, and he heads up global business development for Seagate's surveillance segment. He'll be covering Seagate's solution brief as well as surveillance solutions, including software partners. Casey is also joining from Singapore. He's a solution architect for Seagate systems for Asia Pacific, and he'll cover some reference architectures and industry verticals. This will be followed by Dez Nguyen, who's DiGiCOR's lead systems engineer, and he'll cover a demonstration on how to configure a Seagate system on DiGiCOR's website. So let's begin. I'll start today's session by giving you something to visualize and think about. Seagate, with the help of IDC, did a report on data growth over the next 5 years. We predict that data creation will grow to an incredible 175 zettabytes by 2025. And this will be due to a number of factors, such as IoT devices being deployed anywhere from farms for agriculture to buildings to monitor weather, and even in autonomous cars to make sure they stay on the road. This, as well as the emergence of the 5G network, will allow more data to be sent and received instantly, and are part of the reason why we're predicting this growth. Now, it's easy to create data, but what happens when you want to store this data and get actionable intelligence from it? Not only that, you want to do it for the lowest cost per terabyte and get the best throughput for your money. Well, we believe Seagate has the answer with our enterprise data solution. Now, I'll pass it over to Danny, who will go in depth about Seagate and our enterprise storage solutions. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here to share with everyone more about what Seagate is doing and in the enterprise storage systems world. And to just add on to what Michael had mentioned earlier on, there will always be a question, right? So, I mean, Seagate, the first question that people ask is, I thought Seagate is a hard drive company. So what are we doing in the enterprise storage systems world, right? So first thing first, Seagate, we are a long-time player in storage industry. We have more than 10 billion revenue, right? We've been doing storage for more than 40 years, right? We ship majority of the world exabytes, right? When you talk about exabytes, you're really talking about most of the cloud providers, most of the data that's being stored. We actually power a very big portion of that. And of course, we are a global company with many different footprint coverage in all different countries. Next slide, please. So storage is our key competencies, and at the same time, is really where in our focus. So our mission has always been important is to help customers to store more and get more insights from the data that's being stored. We are working. For many years we've been working with most of the major at the same time, 6-7 years ago, we started our journey engaging with a lot of the cloud service provider. So as you know, cloud service provider as a base is really a bunch of server, storage, and networking in the data centers. So most of the cloud service provider today, some of you might think that is getting more and more SSD, but is more than 80% to 90% of their storage is still on hard disk drive. And we work very closely with most of the storage, the cloud service provider out there in the market. A couple of years ago, we started the IP 4.0. So IP 4.0 is actually referring to market where edge computing is growing. Edge computing is actually growing rapidly. So there needs to be a different approach in engaging with customers. So a couple of years ago, I believe 3 years ago, we started calling on customers like the oil and gas companies, the Tesla, the autonomous vehicle companies, and also some critical telcos companies, right? Why are we doing that? Because we believe that we have a role to play. And we believe that companies like Seagate, just like NVIDIA or the likes of NVIDIA or the likes of Intel, right, when it comes to engaging with a lot of these customers that have their own set of storage problem, we really has a capability to offer our support, our technology, also ability to help them, consult them, and advise them on their addressing. Next slide. I mean, Seagate is no stranger in hard disk drive for sure, but not a lot of people actually know the hidden provider or hidden giant when it comes to storage system. Again, we are not talking about server. We are a storage provider, so we focus a lot on storage solution. So for many years, our focus has always been on OEM. Right, we work with a lot of major OEM. We live and they bring it to the market as their own brand. But the underlying thing is we power most of their technology. Right. In fact, over the last 30+ years, we've been shipping more than 1 million systems out there into the market. That's a lot. So we talk about millions of systems. We talk about these systems is really what powering of this solution be in the cloud computing space or the general IT backup applications, right? Or the surveillance space, right? So we one thing that I would like to highlight, which is really uniquely Seagate, is we are the only vertically integrated end-to-end solution provider. What does that mean? And why is that important? I think that is what I want to emphasize on. Number one, we are vertically integrated means that we build anything from our semiconductors that goes into the drive to building the whole drive to building the whole systems, right? Used into the storage is a very important piece because number one, there's a one neck to choke when it comes to a storage provider, and also we believe that our technology, right, when it comes to technology, if it goes to OEM and some other players, they might have requirements because of supply chain optimization. They might decide to go with different component, different solution. But for us, we want to make sure that we offer customers the fastest, the latest technology, and also the latest capacity, right? So I'm sure that everyone knows that recently we launched our 18 terabyte drive. We'll make it very, very soon available for provide times to market, right? So we are, because of our vertically integrated approach, okay? So it's important because ultimately it brings the total cost down, right? And another question, well, will this be a short-term direction from Seagate, or will this be a long-term? This is a strategic management and is directions that we've been paving for the last few years. And when it comes to the go-to-market and our brand in storage systems as our brand, but it is really a brand, a strategy, and also a direction that Seagate push forward and focusing a lot of our time and resource in growing this market. Okay, next slide, please. Let's look at our portfolio, right? So we have two major Nytro. Nytro stands for our storage system, which is flash-based, like an all-flash array, right? Like a product that have that you can take all the flash drives, right? That will primarily focus on accelerating IOPS, right? High IOPS application. And we have a product with Exos name on it. Exos, most of it is a hard disk drive based storage or a hybrid. That means it's either a hard drive based storage or a hybrid storage, which you can utilize a little bit of SSD to provide a better performance, right? So in the Exos series, we have different form factor. Our form factor is form factor. We have 2U24, we have a 2U12 as an entry level. We have a 5U84, 2 trays, like 42 drive, 42 drive, and when we have a 4U100 and 4U106. When we talk about our 4U106 is the world largest density JBOD, right? I mean, as we launch 18 terabytes soon, we will be even pushing the capacity higher, right? The whole density higher with our JBOD. So when we look at the flavor, we have rate control based products, which is a SAN storage, is a block storage with Exos X. We have an Exos E, which is a JBOD, which our IO module, which becomes a JBOD, and we have an AP, right? I'm sure that now I'm looking for software-defined storage, a SAF, or object-based storage solution, which I a management on top of it to manage the storage, right? Our AP is application platform. So storage, we have expansion storage, and then we have application platform, right? That we sells into the market. So Seagate, we have a very important differentiator, what we call our strategy, called storage building block strategy. So our all our devices are able to be supported. All our encryption drive, we have a very comprehensive encryption security-based drives. All of them can be used. When you may be able to provide you certain products, but because they need to take different components from different brands, so therefore sometimes we are not able to provide you a number one is solution. We'll take our own drive and SSD, and all the product that we have will be made available. Those and our control module, it creates our products, right? It creates our solutions. Our solution is very modular. If you look at the look and feel, it's the same. It's just that it's you can change the controller, it becomes a great solution. So it's very simple, right? It's very simple, and we don't have a lot of series of products. So it's very much focused on a couple of form factor with a different flavor. Okay. Next slide, please. Recently, I think to make the adoption of our solution easier for our partners, we know that we have to work with ISV, right? We need to make sure validated, certified with the ISV, right? So therefore, we have created an initiative called the Flagship. We work very closely with our partner, with our ISV partners to deliver the solutions. For instance, within the media entertainment space, we work with companies like Pixit Media and OpenZFS and Rosal Systems and all these guys, right? In the video surveillance space, which I'm focusing on, I'll talk about our validation with Milestone, Genetec, Bosch, and all these guys, which we are working with because these are the important software, right? That will drive a lot of storage because they are the recording solution, right? We also work in the space of enterprise and cloud with backup, with cloud VDI, right? Virtualization, right? And also HPC. So we have strong partnership with the ISV community. We have a Seagate Technology Alliance program right now that works very closely and growing out initiative with the likes of SUSE and all these guys, right? So we have very close partnership with them. If you're interested on some of the reference architecture, reference design, I believe that Michael, on the website, we do have some of the solutions that we can share with the customers, with the partners, right? So they know what are the building blocks of the solution, okay? Next slide, please. Well, I think a lot of us are familiar with as a data protection technology or redundancy technology, right? For the longest time, right? But however, as the drive capacity continue to grow, you have 18 terabyte today, you have 20 terabyte very soon, and even with our technology like HAMR technology, we have the capability to go up to 60 terabyte per drive. But what happened to the drive when it gets larger and larger? If you're using an old technology and existing technology like RAID, the rebuild times becomes very, very long, right? If, for instance, if you're using a 10 terabyte today, on the RAID 6, if the drive fail, you want to rebuild it, it takes about 55 hours. It's that long, right? Just 10 terabyte. I couldn't imagine 20 terabyte, maybe double the time. And most important thing is the getting bigger and bigger is not going to like increase drastically. Yes, we have technology like dual actuator and all those things that will increase the performance, but it is still not going to be able to address that. And when you cannot adopt high capacity drive, the utilizations of the storage becomes very poor. So you cannot use high density. Therefore, you need to use more rack space, right? We have a technology that we are very proud of. It is technology that we believe it is very important for many industries. It's called ADAPT. So ADAPT is based on erasure coding. So instead of actually doing a RAID, right? Which you have a parity and you have hot spare. We do not do that. So we actually spread our data across all the disks that's in the pool, in the group, that group, and then we can even do a self-healing. It's a very similar technology that you've seen sometimes in a software-defined world right now, where a lot of people either use erasure coding or they actually use replication, right? So for us, in short, with the adapt technology, if you look at the chart here or the photo here, right, you will see that with an adapt 24 drive as compared to a RAID 6, we can be able to reduce the rebuild time from 55 hours to 24 hours. If you use an adapt 84 drives, it can reduce even drastically to 7 hours. So the fact is, if you have more drive in deployed, you spread the data across more drive, the rebuild time is going to be more. It's going to be very, very fast, very short timing, right? And it will provide even higher data protection. Okay, so adapt is really a very key technology that a lot of partners should consider and should look into, because this is our ASIC-based technology that we build into our storage controller. Okay, next slide, please. Yep, I did highlight a little bit about the adapt already, so let's go to the next slide. So I'm not sure about other market segments. There are market segments that utilize a lot of IOPS. My market segments that I'm going to focus a lot more in the next few slides is video surveillance. Video surveillance, like media entertainment, is a very storage intensive. It's a very high throughput intensive application, which means you do a lot of writing, because video security, video surveillance is all about recording, right? You want to make sure that you record data, and you want to make sure that your server is able to push data out, and then storage is able to store the data. Seagate, we do not use Intel and all this. We have our own ASIC controller, right, on our controllers. So number one, it provides low power, it provides low latency, and the most important thing, it provides a very high throughput, because guess what? Throughput is, if you want high throughput, you don't actually, you have to rely on a few things. You have to rely on the controller, you have to rely on the number of drives inside the storage to be able to deliver you the throughput. If you want IOPS, right? IOPS, definitely you can add some SSD, and with the SSD, you can, or even better CPU and all those things, it can deliver you better performance. But in an application where throughput is very important, like video application, it's definitely a advantage for our storage solution here. And we have a technology called RailStream. And RailStream is a technology that we built into the ASIC controller that be able to prioritize the video streams coming in and be able to ensure that the video is being released and being stored into the disk, so there's no drop frame, right? So a lot of these are based off our technology inside our controller, right? Unlike other solutions out there. So then when it comes to a great controller, we have also have different flavor, different options that we offer to the market, so that when you are interested, when you have an opportunity, when you start to do sizing solution, you can really choose from the types of controller that suits your application. We have an entry level RAID controller 3005 series, right? Which provide 3.5 gigabytes per second, right? And we have a RAID controller which is based on 4005 series, which provide you 5.5 gigabytes per second, right, as well, but 320K IOPS. And we have the highest performance RAID controller is 5005. The only difference is for the RAID controller is the IOPS, right? If you put in SSD, you put in log SSD, it can provide you much higher IOPS. So most of the time, people that use 5005 is where they require a lot of IOPS. They want to do a lot more processing, like very fast performance, right? So in normal case, most customers will choose either the mainstream or either the entry level. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, please. So surveillance. Well, that's where I'm focusing on. I joined Seagate 13 years. in different role, right? I manage enterprise business. I also manage video surveillance business. And video surveillance is for Seagate has always been a very important market for us. And right now with the storage market, right, with the storage system, it becomes even more important because a lot of the surveillance players, they have concern about storing more because of the cost. Because video surveillance, you need to store a lot of video, and video costs a lot of money, right? So storage is definitely a love and hate relationship, right? They want to store more, the customer want more, but they want to be able to offer better solution, right? And as more and more IoT devices, surveillance is also converging. A lot of technology right now is no longer just a camera, but it's a camera, it's a sensors, everything is converging. That's why what we call the VMS, video management system, right? Like the Genetec, the Milestone, they play a very important part because they are a platform that combine, right, all the solution, manage the traffic, push it to storage, push it to the cloud. All of this is managed by the VMS software. And the VMS software is residing on a distributed architecture, or we call federal architecture, where you have different servers, right? Servers that manage it. And with that, it can be connected to our storage. You can start off small, like in the sub 500 cameras type of application. You can start off with the 2U12 entry-level block storage, like rate controller-based storage, and you can scale, right? With our 3005 controller, you can scale up to additional 3 expansion storage. Another note is, if today you're not going to use our entry level, you're going to use our 4005 mainstream controller on our 2U12, guess what? You can expand 9 expansion, right? To make it to 10 storage system, right? It's very scalable. It offers you to start from small, and you can scale much bigger later. Because in surveillance today, a lot of the customers, just to share some use cases as well, right? A lot of customers, they just don't know today when they're going to increase the resolution of the camera. A lot of camera can support 4K today, but because of many reasons, they start off with 1080p recording, but because of compliance, a lot of companies need to store more data, retain more data. You cannot throw away the server or add more server, right? If you just want to have more storage. So there are 2 different type of customers here, because there are one customers that will grow the solution. They need more AI, they need more analytics, they will increase more server, at the same time might increase more storage. At the same time, there will be some customers that wants or to increase the retention. One of the increase of resolution, increase the retention as well. So therefore, the solution makes a lot of sense, right? It comes in a way. Next slide, please. Meanwhile, in the high capacity surveillance solutions, like, okay, for instance, smart city, casinos, right? 6,000 cameras, 4,000 cameras. You cannot store everything in a server. You have to have a strategy to be able to distribute it, right? So this is where basically you can actually use our Exos X584, right? One of the storage is 1.4 petabytes right now. We can scale with higher capacity coming in. We can scale higher, right? Storage, you can achieve 4 to 5 petabytes, right? Types of solutions with just 1 cent storage, and allows, in most cases, in most projects, allows them to be, because in most big projects, you're not going to see all the 4,000 cameras recording into one site. It's going to be a distributed architecture, which means that you have site A, site B, and then it will be connected together in a central command, but you have storage at the back end, right, to be able to do the scale up kind of application. So far, a lot of the customers that we work with has seen potential opportunities to scale, because just for instance, we have tested 1,000 4K camera on our storage 5U84 systems in mainstream 4005. It just gives us 25% of the throughput, right? There's a lot of space that you can go and expand when it comes to the performance. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, this is what I meant. We recently did a POC with a partner called Network Optics. So Network Optics is one of the emerging VMS provider. We have 2 physical server with 10 virtual machines, each of them having 100 cameras, right? We record it into our 5U84. The result is 0 frame loss, right? We are able to support it. It's less than 30% of the throughputs, and then we are using Adapt, right? So Adapt is definitely very important because it delivers you a very, very fast rebuild time, right? And it helps they provide a very good data protection. So we have more data and also solutions guide that we can share, right? I would suggest that we can provide more information if you're interested in the specific use cases. But I think the key thing is for us, we are agnostic. We work with many different server vendors, right? Like whether Dell, whether Supermicro, right? We can support, and then we work very closely. We enable the storage capability, right, at a high density storage capability to the customer. Next slide, please. I want to do a quick wrap up before I pass it on to my colleague Casey. Right, surveillance storage really must deliver these key needs, right? Our surveillance customers are not very IT focused. In fact, a lot of the physical security guy, they will rely on a lot of the IT providers. Companies like you, companies like partners like DiGiCOR is very important because they are right now moving into the world where it's very much IT, right? There's also opportunity for our partner, right? When you comes into delivering this as a vertical that you want to focus on. Our solution is built on a concept of simplicity. It has to be able to deliver the performance. I've shown you that our solution is able to record thousands of streams. It must be able to be scalable, right? Like as scale as you need. And the most important thing, which is the key, is really stability, right? Our storage is built on that. We want to make sure that we deliver that to our customers and they use it with a peace of mind, right? That's all that I have. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to Casey, and probably we can take some questions later on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Danny. Hi, I'm Casey. I'm going to talk about what is design and what is the differentiator, and cover a bit of some kind of story. So let's look at our design and what is the difference between our design versus most of the other competitors out there right now. Because in Seagate, right, we actually manufacture our own hard drive. Basically, that would mean that actually when we design a systems, right, our testing and our qualification is actually done together. So and that's right advantage over most of the other vendors out there is because our systems, right, is always has a high capacity and fastest capacities in the market, right? So if you look at this diagram here, right, on the left hand side, this actually shows a single rack. Actually, in this single rack, right, and a 42 rack, actually 2 units of this are fully populated 5U84. So that would mean that you're going to have 1 unit is actually able to support up to at least 336 drive. So basically, you can support up to 700 drive, 700 plus drive in a single rack. This actually help you actually 6 trays. At the same time, also help you basically achieve a certain number of usable capacity. To this configurations, right, we support actually 16 terabyte hard drive. Right? So in environment, this, if you base on 16 terabyte hard drive, this actually gives you up to about 8 petabyte of usable in a single rack, right? If you look at this particular diagram. But let's say in 1 to 2 weeks down the road, when the 18 terabyte has been fully shipped up, right, we will start to qualify this against other competitors, which they will take about 3 to 4 they actually start to qualify. So in 2 to 3 weeks later, right, basically, right, this kind of size will actually grow up to 9 petabyte, right? And let's say down the road, at the end of this year, when the 20 terabyte hard drive is actually released, right, this actually increase to even further to about 10 petabyte kind of range. So this actually tell you that we actually scale, right, not just basically in terms of the scale up. We also have the scale basically in the rack level on what kind of capacity you can really go, right? And this is not enough, right? Basically, you can actually look into other solutions out there in the market. So can you go to the next slide? Right, we have other solutions like in the market today, right, which actually work together with lots of partners, right? We have worked together with Nytro and Wiki, right? And if you go to our website today, right, we actually have some architecture how to optimize based on all these basically all these solutions which I talked about, right? All these solutions are it's actually suitable for hyperscale. Hyperscale means that you can go up to multiple 10, right? And basically, right, to help you to achieve your available usable requirement. So one success use case I can talk about is actually on the next slide, please. This is actually a use case that we have done together with in the top telco company in the world, right, in the United States, right? Because in this company, right, they were actually looking into the 5G technologies today. As you all know, 5G technology will require new antennas, new IoT devices, and a lot of new data to be collected. So when they projected this 5G technologies, right, about 3 years ago, right, they actually projected that they were going to need about 500 petabyte kind of scale. So if you go to any kind of traditional vendor out there, right, nobody is able to give this kind of scale, right? We're talking about 500 petabyte. So if this is based on a previous diagram, right, this is actually close to about more than 50 over racks, right, or even more, right? And it's just too big. Nobody is actually crazy enough to have a single system that actually have 500 petabyte. And that's the reason why, right, we actually work together with one of our partners, SUSE, right? SUSE, as we all know, is actually an open source company. They have many solutions. So one of the solutions is called, they call it Enterprise Storage System, which is based on Ceph, right? So basically, right, we work together closely with them, right, to actually come into this particular solution. Actually, right now, right, they actually deploy these systems, and in today's, right, they actually go up to about 60 plus petabyte from the initial phase of 20 petabyte. So this is actually showing that our solution is able to scale, right, not just on the limits of one single boxes. We can scale into multiple different boxes in the market. And why they actually choose this is because we can work on not just in the single system. We also work with lots of partners because we are actually quite open. We can open in such a way that we can work with many partners, and there's many test cases that actually you can see in the website, right? And this is the reason why I think they decided to choose on us. Another success story, if you go to the next slide, please. It's actually one of the success stories pretty much close to your environment, which is based on the one particular vertical industry, which is I think they are quite closely related, working with the mining industry as well as the government sectors. It's actually there's a requirement to store a huge amount of data. In this particular use case, right, the customer actually need to store about 10 petabyte of data per day, right? It's per day, it's not per week, it's per day. They need to generate about 10 petabyte kind of data. And basically, right, it consists of many different kind of workload. It can be small IOPS and as well as big IOPS. And it's kind of challenging is because, right, with this huge amount of data, right, if it's based on the traditional ways of storing, right, it's going to cost you quite pretty much dollar. And that's the reason why they look into us, right? And actually, we won this case recently, and basically, our solution is based on the 500,000 series of controller, right? Put inside with a lots of SSD drive, and we actually do some replications between site to site, and that's the reason why the customer decided to choose us. Not just because the solution fit their requirement, but also because there's a lot of benefit from business end. We actually help them to have different kind of workload in the applications. At the same time, we have also have a great dollar per terabyte kind of saving for customers, and that's why they actually choose us. Right? I think that's all for me. I think can you go to next slide and pass it over to Michael?
Thanks for that, KC. So that previous case study was actually a local case study here in Australia for a geographical mapping organization. And yeah, they chose us because of the high throughput and capabilities that we had in that space. So I'll quickly run through our support model. So a lot of you may be asking, well, we buy a system today, how is it supported? So we have a number of support models. We have 1, 3, and 5 years. And they cover all regions across Australia. So we have next business day on-site support for all states or all regions, and 4-hour on-site support for some states. And we'll slowly be increasing that in the coming months. So I'm going to pass you off to Dez. Dez will go through the configuration tool and we'll cover off how to configure a Seagate system.
Thanks, Michael. Where DiGiCOR working with Seagate for quite a long time, pretty much since our company's inception. So we're quite proud to also be able to work with their enterprise storage department and get these products listed on our website and our configuration as well to make life easier for everyone, just to build these configs and to learn more about the various options available with them. So the first port of call I'd point out is we've updated our configurator to include all our Seagate products, and these can typically be found on our main page. So if we go to the Seagate section, you'll be presented with two options. One is the Exos and one is the Nytro. So the Nytro is the all-flash, all-SSD appliance, and the Exos covers the hybrid and drive series. So today we'll explore the Exos just to go through some of the configuration options and controller options available on them as well. So when we go to that page, we've got the Exos X, which is the array, and the E, which are the expansion shelves and JBODs. So these can be used to expand the arrays or also direct attach to servers just with HBAs or RAID cards to provide additional storage. So when we look at the X series, we'll see there are a couple of various controller models that we've created and uploaded. So we've got the 3000 and the 4000 series. If we look at the 4000, for example, this is a 24-bay, 2.5-inch unit with various drive options available, and we'll go to configure. This will also give you a ballpark pricing and allow you to, play around with a few options to, work with what's in your budget and figure out those sort of various options from there. Bear in mind that the pricing that we have on our website is purely quite indicative and based off list price. So I would encourage you to build a configuration and submit it for a formal quotation. That way we can work with the relevant parties and obtain special bid price approvals for these sort of units. And we're always happy to work with customers and partners on all pricing. So with this particular unit, the 405 24-bay, once the storage array has been selected, we'll go to next, and it brings down a list of our various drive options. As this is a 2.5-inch unit, we've only got 2.5-inch drives available in it. So we just select any drive accordingly down to the specs, such as the Nytro 2000 series, 2 terabytes, sorry, and various quantities from there, and be able to spec that out. And also about the transceiver modules to go with the controllers as well. So I'll go back to a 3.5-inch series. And the same options are also available in the 3.5-inch drives as well, with all the various controller options and the host interfaces. So once the drives have been selected, the controllers are unified. So they support 10 gig fiber channel or 1 gig as iSCSI as well, or 10 gig iSCSI, sorry. So we just need to add the transceivers, and these allow the protocols to be dictated. We don't need different controllers for various protocols. We just need to purchase transceiver packs. So as today, we'll give the 5 options a go, and we add to the, and our warranty services are presented from there. And then once that's done, we can select various options and submit it for a formal bid price on our system, and our team will review these systems and generate probably the best value quote available for you guys. And the same applies to the E series, which is the direct attach these into servers or use them as expansions for our Exos arrays. And the same options apply to that. It's just with the JBODs, we won't see any available transceiver options, as they're just the JBOD and direct attach via SAS. With these particular units is we'll have options on the various lengths of SAS cables for direct attach or expansion. Secondly, more information on these products can also be found on these are typically found under data storage systems. If you were looking at getting more information on these, and we just simply scroll down to the all-flash and the hybrid disk arrays, and we can review the various series that are available, and also the controller options that are available as well. And more information can be found on the data sheets of each individual product, which brings out more detailed specifications if you want to look into these things, and also covers off some of the performance profiles of the controllers and the functionalities as what Danny had gone through before. All right, thanks for that, and I'll pass it over to Simran now to field any questions in the chat, and feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any questions.
Thanks, Dez. So everyone has questions. Like Dez said, you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions. I'll put them in the chat section below.
So Simran, I've received a question. Question was, can you upgrade a RAID controller at a later stage? And the answer to that is yes. So all our systems come with dual controllers. So for redundancy, at any later stage in the future, if you require more throughput, then you can actually pull those controllers out, get upgraded controllers to allow for more throughput. Same goes with the drives. If ever you need to expand some of the drives, if you need a higher capacity, let's say you buy 10 terabyte today, and tomorrow you want to expand those to 16 terabytes or 18 terabytes, which will be released later in the month, then that's definitely an opportunity that you can look at as opposed to adding more shelf space or more chassis. Okay, I think there may be a couple of more have received. Okay, so how do we approach customers and convince them to switch to Seagate systems from existing competing vendors? What are some unique features that only Seagate systems offer? I think you're on mute, Danny.
Yep, I'm on mute. Thanks. That's a great question. So we have come across customers that we compete with the major OEMs and all those things, right? So as I mentioned, there are a couple of things that we have highlighted, right, which is important. The first is cost, right? Is one thing to TCO. That's one key thing, because of the time to market that we have, we can offer you a higher density solution with a more density solutions and less rack space. That's one that is really important. If you have solutions that require encryption. So Seagate, as you know, we built all our drive that even for the OEMs like Dell, HP, and all those guys, encryption drive, right? We have different sources of encryption drive. We have common criteria. We have TAA certified. We have FIPS 140-2. The difference between us and our competition or the OEMs that you can see in the market is a lot of this, if you're going to ask for these solutions, number one, is very expensive. Number two is there's not much options, right? Because I mean they have to take from different brands under the OEM brand, so it's very difficult for them to deliver one solution. For us, that's just another drive because we already have the drives enabled and qualified, right, for our systems. So if you have government projects, military projects, or I recently had a work with a lot of different partners that do military defense projects. We just know, like for example, Ministry of Defense in Japan, Singapore, right? All of them require common criteria, right? And that's where we can offer, right? That's where we can offer the solutions that the customer needs. And of course, I mean, depending on your use cases, right? For my market, I focus on surveillance, is very, very critical to throughput performance, cost, and a lot of this are very important. So I believe that that is another area that we can really deliver to the customers. But last but not least is the data protection, right? It's very important. If some customer is not ready to move away from software-defined storage because they don't have the scale. The good thing about software-defined storage and all this new technology, I mean, all this technology, you need to have certain criteria to be able to benefit from those, right? But if you want to enjoy those technology like erasure, and if your high data protections, I think our adapt is the differentiator, right? That allow our customers, especially coupled with our high, right? Especially coupling with our high capacity drive. So I think the few customers that we spoke to and that decided to work with us is on this things, right? Because ultimately for them, when they talk to different vendor, I mean, I don't know, some of the OEM vendors have different product range, right? They may not necessarily ask you to focus on one product that they have. They have an entry level, they have a high. Our solution, we believe, that can basically address most of the different application within the category, right? So I think that will be a key things that differentiate us against the rest.
Excellent. So I have one more question that's come through, and that's what type of software features do your systems have? So we have an enterprise feature set, and they consist of snapshots and replication, asynchronous replication, that is, obviously adapt, as well as the other traditional RAID styles, and SSD read cache. So that kind of covers off our enterprise features, and that's included with all our systems when you purchase them. Now I'll take it back to the team.
Mike, one of the questions that was raised was, what is the current roadmap with the NVMe portfolio? As a lot of vendors are moving on to NVMe-based storage devices, so they were interested to see what Seagate's approach to this was.
Yeah, so in regards to NVMe, as NVMe progresses and becomes one of those more used types of interfaces, Seagate is progressing and are creating, will be releasing the NVMe portfolio later next year. So it's definitely something that we can hear you guys. We know what you guys are asking for, and it's definitely something that tied in with our controllers will definitely be something that we can provide even more throughput for.
All right, this question might be for Danny or KC. Is Adapt available on all OEM vendors that Seagate supplies to, or is it uniquely available to Seagate Enterprise Storage?
I mean, Casey, do you want to take that question, or Michael? I think I can address it.
I can address that. And if you're asking about whether the or just Seagate or available on the OEM vendors, well, it depends, because we actually OEM quite a lot of those products into the market, and some vendors will have adapt, some may not have. So it all depends on the model and the OEM partners that we're talking about.
Yeah, so I think with the I won't name names, but we'll have a different name, and that's using our Adapt software solution, but creating their own marketing flavor or marketing name to it. So some VMS, some will have the Adapt solution, but we'll rename that to tie in with their branding.
Yeah, let me just add on, okay? I mean, we obviously have a lot of OEMs, but remember, the OEMs, they don't take all our products, right? Each of them will cherry pick one product, one certain features that they want from us because they want to optimize the supply chain. Yes, even though that you might come across a product with these features, but there are still other things that will build up to it, right? The OEM might use an Adapt with a 12 terabyte or 14 terabyte because they don't have an 18 terabyte or 20 terabyte they can use. So even though they have it, but it's not entirely the same. And we have different options of controller, which none of our OEM has taken all our products. So that's the one point. Moving forward, when we announce more products, there'll be even more differentiated because the OEM cycle is very long. They maintain on one product, they may not go to market with a new product within the cycle, right? So I think that's another thing that I want to highlight on. Yeah.
And I think you answered a comment back into the chat, Danny. Did you want to maybe elaborate on? So the question was, do we have any VMS vendor certifications for Seagate?
Yeah. So we have completed and certified with 3 major VMS vendors: Genetec, Milestone, Network Optics. We are actually working with Bosch Security right now for the VMS certification. These two are the world #1 and #2 software vendor for video surveillance. Critical infrastructure like airport, right, smart city, right, all the market that you talk about high capacity storage, right, most of the system integrator will come across these brands. So, well, but of course they are like, I think from my understanding, I believe that there are about 100 VMS vendors out there, right? So of course we cannot support all, but the plan is to support in short term 5, in long term 10, right? And I think if there are specific VMS vendors that come across for certain projects, we can definitely look into that, right? With the partnership with our partner like DiGiCOR and all those things, because ultimately we still need to do the server validation at the same time do the storage testing, right? But yes, the answer to you is we have certified with the 3, and there are more to come.
Excellent. I think there's one more in the same for you, Danny. Does this mean our brand is listed on all of the vendors for consultants to select if required?
Yeah, so we are in the process because certification is completed not too long ago. I will say that you asked me, Genetec and Milestone, we will be done within the next 2-3 weeks. Network Optics is up, right? So the answer is yes. It's just that the material, everything, we will get it done within the next few weeks. Yeah, it's completed like 1 month plus ago. So I think we are going to put it up. But if you need materials, right, reach out to me, Michael, right? We can send the materials over. The next in the next few weeks, marketplace. You go to Genetec a partner portal, you will see Seagate listed as one of the partners. We are in the process of doing that.
Excellent. So if there aren't any more questions, then I guess we can conclude and we'll sit down and discuss who's going to get the reward.
Yep. What does everyone think? Who asked the best question?
I think we could definitely take this one offline and to who asked the best question.
Yep.
Yeah, there are quite a few good ones to take it offline, and then we'll email that out.
Excellent.
All right then.
All right.
So we can conclude then. Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you, Michael, Danny, Dez, Roham, Casey. And just wanted to remind everyone to please fill in our survey after the session and stay in touch.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.